Okay, so we're talking about pet peeves. Maybe we could just say clearly what that is. I think you know what it means, but how would you describe it? What a pet peeve is?
Well, something that particularly annoys me. Yes, get me
Yeah.
angry. I think
Yeah, angry, annoyed. It's something
something
also that
that other people do. Yes.
something that other people do, a behavior that other people do that makes you feel angry or annoyed. That's actually a great, I would say that's a perfect definition. Yeah. But also something that I think um, not necessarily other people feel annoyed by. Maybe other people are, but maybe not. So maybe
Hmm.
something that really annoys you that doesn't bother other people at all. Could be. It could be. Now
Yes.
there are a
Yes.
lot of phrases
That's
that we
right.
can use. I want to kind of just have a conversation about the topic, but I do want to just go over a couple of phrases to introduce it. Uh, what would you say if you were going to talk about one of your pet peeves, one of the things that you really don't like that makes you angry or annoyed? How would you describe it? Maybe you could give me
Uh,
one example.
I don't know. One thing that really, yes, one thing that really annoys me is, um, for instance, when my husband he's a really good cook, but
Oh,
when he
nice.
cooks, he makes such a mess. So it really annoys me because he leaves all the drawers open, the cabinets, and all the food in the counter table,
Yeah,
and
the
also
counter.
on
Yeah.
the floor, on the counter. Yes,
Well,
he makes such a mess.
can I make a little comment about that? If he's
Yes,
cooking for you,
yes.
you're not allowed to say
I
anything
shouldn't.
about that. You shouldn't. Yeah,
Yes,
that's fair though. So you don't like a mess, but it's
but I
interesting that you
also
said
cook
that.
for everybody, and
Yeah. So
I
how do
don't
you
do such
cook
a mess.
when you do it? How do you do it to avoid making a mess when you cook? Because I'm like your husband. When I cook, it's unbelievable disaster. It's like the house has been destroyed. How do you do it?
I try to wash when I'm cooking. I'm also washing some forks or pots or whatever I'm using.
Yeah. I don't want to generalize, but do you think it's possible that that's more of a male female thing?
Genre.
I'm just saying that because when my wife cooks, by the time she's done cooking, everything is perfect. Everything is super clean, just like you said. And by the time I'm done cooking, it's a mess.
Like,
I wonder.
yes, the World War.
But I feel like yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like that's the joy of cooking. The joy of cooking is making a disaster. That's the fun part.
I'm not that sure.
Okay, all right, all right. Well, that's a good phrase that you use. One thing that annoys me. It's less strong than you use the word I think hate. One thing that I hate.
Mm.
So this is a little stronger. I would say if it annoys you so much that you might yell or something,
Kill
then it might
somebody.
maybe this is good. Yeah. And this would be a little bit softer. This is sort of like ugh, but not quite as strong.
Yeah.
Have you heard the phrase "gets on my nerves"?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How would you compare that to this one and this one in sort of the strength of it?
I think it's in the middle of annoy and hate.
I think that's probably right. Yeah. Yeah. Probably around the middle. You could say that annoys and gets on my nerves is they're similar, but gets on my
Yes.
nerves is interesting because annoys is often just a one-time thing, and gets on my nerves is something that continues for a long time, and it only starts to annoy you
Mm.
after a while. Like
Hmm.
a song that keeps playing over and over and over, and the 20th time it gets on your nerves, but not the first time.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it.
Okay. That's a good. I think that's a good example. That's probably a pretty common one. Um, I want to share a couple later, but I want to get into it, just a few other phrases while we're starting off here. So have you heard of these
Drives me
before?
nuts. Yeah, drives me nuts. Yes,
Drives me
when
nuts.
people eat on the bus or so on. Yes, it really bothers. Mm. I can't stand. Yes, yes, yes. I
Okay.
have heard it.
All phrases. Well, you know all the phrases. That's pretty. That's
Drives me
pretty great.
crazy. Also, yes.
Yeah, drives me. Well, drives me nuts and drives me crazy would be exactly the same thing.
Yes. Yeah, the same.
Crazy and nuts are the same. Of these, drives me nuts when people eat on the bus or subway, bothers me when people bring babies to a movie, and can't stand when people don't put their carts back. Uh, do any of these get on your nerves? Do any of these annoy you or bother you?
Mm, yes. The first. Yes, the first and the second. Yes,
First
they
and the
really
second
annoy
one.
me. Yes.
Okay. All
Babies
right.
to a movie or on an airplane, on a plane. Yes.
Do you have any specific memories of either of these that you could share? I'm curious if you have any specific memories of things like that. Or baby, it could be babies on a
Uh,
plane too, because that's a common one.
yes, but you can't do much because
Right, you're
what
trapped.
can you do?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you're not gonna kill the baby.
Right. Well, yeah, yeah, that's true. I just wonder if you have any specific memories or stories around something like these that you can recall, um, of when something really bothered you or annoyed you.
Don't remember.
Okay, that's fine.
No, don't
I
remember.
I
Nothing
recently had this
specific.
one happen to me. I was flying back from London, and there were two little kids sitting in front of me, in the two seats in front of me, both
Mm.
seats. There was one to my right, immediately to my right, and there were two behind me. So I was surrounded on all sides by
Oh, how
little
lucky.
kids. It was horrible because they were crying, they were kicking the seat, they were yeah, it was not. I mean, I feel bad for the parents, um, because they have to try to deal with that, but it's not
Yes,
pleasant.
but I think that they are babies. But the worst thing is when parents do nothing. Yes.
Well, but yeah, that's true. But what can you do with a little baby? I feel bad for the parents too, a little bit,
Yes.
because what can you do, right? Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. Frustrated or what? Um, do you have kids?
Yes, I have two, not kids, they are teenagers.
Okay, okay, so they're no problem on a
15
plane.
years, yes. They
So
are
what?
15 and 13.
15 and 13. Okay, that probably comes with its own pet peeve, its own set of pet peeves, right?
Yes, true.
Would you care to share any examples? I'm very curious.
Yes. My boy, the one who is 15, he's
Yeah,
always, uh, what do you call, tapping things like this?
yeah, tapping things. Yeah, is he a
With
drummer?
it's a glass of water.
Just anything, he'll tap it.
uh,
Yeah.
he taps with everything, with a pencil, with his foot. Oh, that really annoys me. Yes.
Is it a phase? Do you think just something that he's doing for a period of time, just a phase, or is that something he's always done?
I think it's a phase because
Hmm.
I don't recall that he has done that before.
Okay.
My girl, the one who is 13, she's also she's my height, so she she uses my clothes, and she uses my clothes, and then when she how do you call it? Then she leaves the clothes in the floor. So no, I want to kill her.
Well, that's isn't that kind of an indirect compliment though? Because that means she feels that because teenagers are usually very picky with their clothes
Yeah,
and what they wear. That means she feels that your style is cool enough for her to wear. That sounds like that
maybe.
that's an indirect
I haven't
compliment.
thought about that.
That means you're cool. Is that a thing also? Where you live, where I mean, teenagers just they think that their parents are embarrassing, and they
Yes,
don't
of course.
they don't want to be seen around their
Yes,
parents because they feel embarrassed by everything they do.
yes, of course. Yes.
Although apparently not in your case, because she wears your clothes.
Only
So
with only with the clothes.
oh, okay, okay. But it bothers you that she wears the clothes, or it bothers you that
No, it bothers me that she leaves it on the floor.
okay. So
Yes,
I'm noticing a pattern here. The pots and the pans and the clothes being left around and not tidy. So you're a very well organized person. You
yes,
like to have
yes,
things in their proper place.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Well, that's good. Everyone else needs to learn. How do you get everyone else to follow your rules? Do you make rules? Do you just ask nicely? How do you do that? How do you handle that?
Yes. Yes. First, I ask nicely, but two times, three times, not so nicely.
Well, when I was growing up, my parents had I had specific responsibilities that I had every week. Like on Wednesday, you clean your room. On Sunday, you need to vacuum the entire house. Specific days. Do you do anything like that when raising your kids? They have these things to do on certain days.
Not on certain days, but yes. After lunch, we take turns to do the dishes,
Mhm.
uh, clean the table, and do make the beds. And yes, they have to clean their bedrooms.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, yeah. Um, my when I was growing up, my room was always pretty clean, but my older brother's room was always very messy. We always had a my mother was always angry at my older brother, but not me. So I was the good kid because I had a clean room.
You have only one brother?
I have two brothers. The third brother, my little brother, he got to do whatever he wanted because he was the youngest. So it didn't matter if his room was clean or messy. Nobody cared. It is he's the little one. He's special. He's cute. Nobody ever gave him any problems. I was always very jealous of my little brother. I used to torture him because I was jealous because I was the youngest, and then he was born 4 years later, and everyone thought he was the cutest and the youngest. So I think
Yes,
I became very jealous.
the same in my case. We are six siblings.
Six.
One, yes, a
Wow.
boy and five girls.
What was it like? Wait, wait, wait. Okay, well, at least you're on the majority team, right?
Yes,
What was it like growing up with five siblings?
yes, you never get bored.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Was
No,
everybody pretty close in age? The age is
yes,
pretty close?
yes, yes, 1 or 2 years.
1 or 2 years between everybody. Wow, that must
Yes,
have been so cool growing up like that.
except me and the youngest, because I was the fifth child
Hmm.
for 5 years, and then came the youngest.
Wait, so you mean there's a 5 year gap between number four and number five?
No, number five and number six.
Oh, number five and number six. Ah, and
Yes,
then
I'm number five.
Right.
I was the
Okay.
youngest for 5 years.
Wow. So, oh, you were the youngest for 5 years, and then number six came along, and number six was a boy. Was your little brother?
No,
Oh.
the eldest is the boy. The eldest is the boy.
Ah. So
Then five girls.
I'm curious about his experience growing up with five sisters. Did he become like a second dad, or was it? I'm just curious about.
No,
No.
not at all. No, no, no.
Okay. Okay. That sounds very interesting. 'Cause I grew up with two brothers, and I always wondered what it would be like to have a sister. So very cool. Um, well, getting back to pet peeves, I want to throw a couple of hypothetical situations at you, just to sort of make you think about a specific situation, and let me know what you would think in that situation. You know what a hypothetical is? Have you heard that
Yes,
term?
yes, of course. Yes.
I'll just write it
Yes.
down. Hypothetical. What does that mean?
It's not true.
Yeah, not true. Well, yeah, not real, let's say. It could be true in a certain way, but it's not real. It's just imaginary. Yeah. Okay, so the first one,
Yes.
I want you to imagine that let me ask this first. Have you traveled abroad before to other countries?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been to the United States?
Yes.
Okay.
I went to Orlando and Orlando. Yes, to Disney.
London? You've been to London, you've been to the United States?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to imagine that you decide to move to the United States. Okay? So now you're living
Yeah.
in, I don't know, wherever. Where did you visit?
In the United States, I went to Orlando, to Disney.
Ah, okay. Okay. So if you Florida, right? You were in Florida.
Yes, Florida. Yes.
Okay. Since you've been there, I'm curious what kind of things might, and you're not going to offend me because I live here, so don't worry about that. What kind of things might drive you crazy if you moved to the United States? What things when you were there maybe kind of like, what, this is weird, or this is strange. Why are things like this? I just went
One
to
thing
London.
I
Oh,
didn't
yeah, please
like
go ahead.
about
Yeah.
USA. Yes. No, the food. The
The
food.
food.
I didn't
Ooh,
like
the
the food
food.
because it was all hamburgers, pizza. Yes. I wanted to eat vegetables.
That's a really good one. I feel exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. Every restaurant you go to it's got either a bun or a wrap, or it's fries, it's burgers, fries, and
Yes, junk food.
it's all junk food. Yeah. Unless you live in a big city. And if you live in a big city, it's much, much better. For example, in New York, you can get every cuisine in the world easily, and it's pretty authentic as well because those people have come to New York to live there, and so it's you can get great Indian food, Thai food, Japanese food, Mexican food. It's all very good. But you're right. A lot of the restaurants could say
What happened
what
when you went to London?
same thing. That's what I was going to say.
Ah,
It's like that, only worse. It's like what you said, only like times two. It was I couldn't go anywhere without ordering fish and chips or a burger,
yes,
and that's literally the only things that they had. It was terrible.
yes, it's true.
Yeah, I like London, but it was hard to find good food. They do have good Indian food, I should say. Is there anything else? Anything else that got on your nerves when you were there? For example, people's manners. Anything that stuck out as kind of, whoa, that's a little weird, a little strange, or behaviors.
Don't recall. No, I think that no. People were good. No, no,
Yeah.
I
Well, if
don't
you
have
went to
problems
Disney,
with
they were
them.
probably good because they're trying to extract money from you.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
totally. I'm curious if I could ask, what's the tipping situation where you live? Because one of the things that I know a lot of people complain about when they visit the United States is, why do I have to pay 20% extra when I go to eat somewhere? Because the restaurant doesn't want to pay their workers more, right? I'm just curious about how you feel about that when you were in the U.S. and also what's the tipping situation where you live, in the city where you live.
Here in Argentina, it is not compulsory
Hmm.
to tip the waitress or the waiter, but it's a common. It's usual. You do it because it's common, and you tip 10%,
Okay, 10%.
but you're not obliged to. Yes,
What
yes. It's
if, I
not.
mean, so
It is
if
not
you
compulsory.
if you didn't do it and then you returned to that restaurant, there would be no problems. It would be okay.
No, it would be okay.
And it wouldn't cause a sort of you wouldn't feel any shame as a result.
No, not at
Okay.
all.
That's
No,
great.
but I
Yeah.
used to tip. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, did you find it? How did you find it when you were visiting the States? Was it easy to get used to, or no problem? Odd?
Well, in fact, when we traveled to Orlando, we have all the meals covered. We have paid beforehand,
Oh,
so we didn't
nice
have to pay
package
anything.
deal.
Yes, yes,
Wow. So you had a sort of package.
yes.
I think
That's
that's
right.
called all inclusive,
All inclusive. Yes.
an all inclusive
So you
package.
didn't
So
have to pay anything. Yes.
nice, nice. That's nice. That's nice. So you didn't go out to any of the other areas. Just stayed
No. Yeah.
were in the resort.
Yes.
Okay. I've never been to Disney. I'd like to go. I've been to,
Really?
yeah, I've never been there. I should. Maybe when I have kids, that would be a good thing to do. I'm
Yes, for
assuming that
sure.
was fun for them. Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah. It looks fun, but I've been to Florida. My complaint about Florida is that it's too humid. I can't deal with the
Ah,
I can't deal with the humidity. It's too much. It's unbearable. Okay, so let me ask. We're gonna do one more of these, if that's okay. One of the let's not say even uh, let's not say even a pet peeve, whether it is or not, right? You're familiar with littering, right?
no. What's that?
Okay. Oh, finally, I found something that you don't know. This is a great moment because you know everything. I've been thinking I'm gonna teach her something.
Cool.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So littering. This is a big moment for me. Littering is when people throw trash on the ground, and they should throw it in
Yeah.
a bin or take it home or something, and they throw it on the ground. It's a problem more in some places than others. I think some places have a fine if they catch you litter. If the police catch you littering,
Mhm.
you have to pay like I don't know, $500 or something. I don't know how much.
Yeah.
Um, let's
Yeah.
say hypothetically, um, I mean, would it if we were together in the same place and we're eating uh, burgers and I have a wrapper and I just throw it on the ground in front of you. Would that bother? I think would that bother you?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Okay. How would you what would you say in that moment to make me pick it up? I mean, would you be very direct? Would you be indirect? What would you do in that situation?
Yes, I would say, excuse me, I think that, I don't know, how do you call what do you call the rap?
It's called a rapper.
The rapper. Excuse me, I think that rapper falls. You need to grab it and put it
Okay.
wherever it goes
Pick. So you would just say you need to pick that up.
to pick it up. Yes.
You need to, and you would say that to a stranger, or you would say that only to if we we know each other and we're both there. Well, you would say that to anybody, or you would just say that to someone you know?
To anybody. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's a pretty good phrase. If I could, I'd like to modify it a little bit. Now, if we know each other quite well, and I do that, and you say you need to pick that up, I think that's fine because usually people who know each other have a level of familiarity. So being a little direct sometimes, hey, pick that up. What are you doing? Pick that up. Don't litter. Being direct like that. Don't litter. What's wrong with you?
Are you nuts?
Yeah, that sort of thing. Being very direct. I think it's usually fine when people know each other. But if you're speaking to a stranger there and you say you need to pick that up, I think they might feel a little defensive against that. They might say, "Who are you? Like, why are you telling me what to do?"
Yeah.
Just only because because it sounds direct. I think softening it with something like,
Don't you think?
"Don't you think? Don't you think?" Well, even that though, if you say, "Don't you think you should pick that up?" That's
Quite
okay.
direct.
It might. I'm just trying to put myself in that position. It might feel like I might feel again a little defensive, and no, I don't think. I don't think so. Uh, don't you think you need to pick that up? Is it? I
Okay.
think that
Would
would
you
work.
mind? Would
I
you
think
mind?
that's probably the best phrase. That's the one. Would you mind? Would you mind? And then after mind, we can't say pick. We have to change the phrasing a little bit. How would we phrase it? The rest of it. Would you mind
Picking.
picking? After a mind, we always use ing. Picking that up, or throwing that away. Yeah, I think that would be a little better just because when you're dealing with strangers, sometimes being really polite, even though it's a direct thing, makes them at least open to listening to what you want to say. Oh, yeah, okay. There is I think it's a YouTube channel. I think his name is the I can't remember, something cart police or something like that. Basically, he goes around in front of shopping centers and supermarkets, and he yells at people. Well, he doesn't yell at them, but he does this for people who don't put their carts away. You know how you have the cart thing where you put your cart back? If they don't
Yeah.
do that, he will walk up to them and he'll say, excuse me, please, can you please put your cart back? You didn't put your cart back." But he does it in a way that makes people angry, like, "Hey, do this." And so he sometimes is threatened. People have pulled guns on him, and people have chased him around and threatened to kill him. And it's all on video, angry people. So people react very strongly if they feel shame, I think, sometimes.
Yes. You're right.
Sometimes he'll say it very nicely, like this: "Would you mind putting your cart back?" And they still get really angry and chase him around. I forget what the channel is called. I wish I could remember. Cart Police, maybe, or Cart something. But it's pretty good channel. Okay. Well, I think we've been through some interesting phrases. It's been very interesting to hear your experiences and learn a bit about you and talk a bit about pet peeves. I do have one last question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with, if you feel annoyed or frustrated or stressed in general, do you have a way of dealing with it yourself? I mean, how do you deal with stress, whether it's work stress or being upset by something another person did? How do you handle negative emotions?
I go for a walk. I walk. Yes, I train. I do exercise.
Exercise. Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
That's a good one. Okay. What just walking is good?
walk or I go to gym. Yes,
Go to the gym?
yes,
That's actually the same for me. I do the same thing. If I go for a walk, after 30 minutes, I'll feel better no matter what happened.
yes.
Yeah. But now it's winter, it's harder to do that for you, right?
It's difficult. Yes,
Yeah. So you
it's
go to the
getting
gym,
hard.
do you go to the gym in the winter instead?
Yes, I go to the gym every day. Yes, yes,
You have a gym nearby?
yes. 5 blocks from my house. Yes.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Ever since I moved, I recently left the city and moved to
Yeah.
kind of a rural area. I can't walk anywhere now, unfortunately. I have to drive. Everywhere I go, I have to drive. It's always driving, so that's a little bit annoying. Kind of bothers me. Bit of a
Hmm.
pet peeve.
Yeah.
Well, Aleda, this has been great. Do you have any questions for me before we call it a day?
No, no, no. I don't think so. No,
Okay.
it's okay.
Okay. Great. Well, I think your knowledge of English is really amazing. All of the phrases, pretty much all of the phrases that I wanted to go over, you already knew. I think the only new thing was littering for you that
Yeah.
you weren't familiar with. Do you have any sort of where does that come from? And where do you learn all of the things that you learn? Your English is so good. Where do
Well, I
you?
studied, yes, when I was a kid. I think
Yeah.
from I was 9 to 16. I went to a private institute,
Hmm.
and now, like 2 years ago, I started studying again. Yes, with a group of adults.
Well, that's great. How do you do it? What are some of the keys to learning faster and learning new things so that you can use them? Because I noticed, everything that you know, you're using it very well. You put it in the right place every time. Do you have any general tips for people based on your experience?
I also watch movies and series in English with
Mhm.
subtitles, and I also read books in English
Ah, okay, okay. When you're watching movies with subtitles, do you pause the movie sometimes to write down a
sometimes.
word or phrase?
Yes,
Or yeah,
yes, yes, I do that. Yes, I
how
look for
often?
words.
Every few minutes
No,
or
no, not so often,
not so often?
but when I hear a new word, I look for it. Yes,
Nice. Okay, okay, that's great. What kind of books are you reading? Fiction, nonfiction?
uh, no, non-fiction. Yes.
Nonfiction. Okay, all right, nonfiction. Do you have any recommendations? I read a lot of nonfiction books, so I'm always looking for recommendations.
Sorry, no fiction, not novels,
Oh,
novels,
fiction. Oh,
novels.
fiction. Okay. Never mind. I
Yes.
don't want any recommendations. I've got all the fiction books I need. Thank you. No, that's good. Fiction is more. It's easier to get into fiction. Once you start, then you feel like you can't stop because the story
Yes.
pulls you in. Sometimes nonfiction is so dry, you have to kind of force yourself to read it.
I also have recently joined a book club in English
Nice. Nice. Online.
online. Yes. Now we are talking about meeting, but it has always been online. Yes.
Wow. And that's in your city? It's a local one?
Yes. Some are from here, from my city, and some are from other cities.
Okay.
But
Well, I just
yes,
asked because a lot since there are so many meetups online. Some people aren't even doing it locally. Like Meetup
yes.
is a website, and you can search a city. For example, you search Orlando or whatever, and you can find all the book clubs or all the clubs happening
Ah,
there. And since they're online, you could attend an English book club or an English discussion group anywhere in the world to practice English. It doesn't even have to be local. It's a great resource. New York, for example, has tons of them, and you can attend those. I think actually our mutual friend Pablo has been to a couple of the
ah,
book club events in my book club that I go to. He's attended a few of those. Um, that's great. I love book clubs. I have one every Saturday that I go to in person.
ah.
Is nice. All right. Well, again, Aleda, thank you so much. If you have any questions that you think of later, you can just send me a direct message on WhatsApp. That will be fine. And if you ever want to do another one of these, let me know. We can certainly do that. But I really appreciate your time and thank you so much.
Ah, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
see you.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Take care. Later. Have a good one.
Okay, you too.
All right.
Bye bye.
Bye.